Chapter 4. A Druid's Awakening. The Druid village nestled quietly beneath a twilight sky, the air heavy with the scent of pine and the faint tang of wood smoke. Jez stood at the clearing's edge, her boots pressing into the damp earth, her breath forming faint clouds in the evening chill. In the distance, Fintius's pyre blazed, its flames clawing at the darkening heavens, casting flickering shadows across the mourners' solemn faces. She lingered there, her chest tight with a tangle of grief and guilt. Fintius, with his warm laughter and steady guidance, was gone, reduced to embers. Runver's hand, calloused and reassuring, settled on her shoulder. "He'd be proud of you, girl," he said, his voice a low rumble. Jez nodded, though the words felt hollow. Proud? She'd survived her latest ordeal, but the cost gnawed at her. Too many losses. Too many close calls. Seeking solace, she slipped away to Archaeus's hut that night. The small space was a sanctuary of oddities, shelves brimming with glowing crystals, silk-bound scrolls, and a miniature globe that spun lazily unmoored by any visible force. Archaeus knelt by its stone walls draped in ivy, became her refuge. Nerman, the wiry librarian, greeted her with a crooked grin, his spectacles teetering on his nose. "Back for the hunting guide for the hunting mind?" he teased, already, fetching the worn tome. Jez settled by a window, sunlight spilling across the pages as she pored over its faded ink. Silver fox tracks, storm crow nests, the subtle art of coaxing a dryad from her tree. Each detail honed her ranger instincts, grounding her for the trials to come. But it was Wilter who shaped her understanding of what lay ahead. One crisp afternoon, he led her to a grove where the air shimmered with latent energy, the ground thrumming beneath their feet. "The elemental trials," he said, his voice a dry rustle. "Test more than skill. They're a plunge into the plane's essence." With a gesture, he summoned illusions, a cavern of jagged stone where earth, elementals roamed, their footsteps reverberating. A sky ablaze with fire, phoenixes trailing embers, an ocean abyss where leviathans coiled, and a tempest of wind, lightning splitting the air. Jez's heart raced, the scale of it sinking in. "Earth comes first," Wilter explained. "It'll demand your resilience, your ability to stand when all else crumbles." She swallowed hard, nodding, though doubt flickered within her. Resilience. She'd need more than her bow for that. He pressed a slim volume into her hands, the Trials and Fundamentals of the Druidic Arts, its cover embossed with a tree, its roots spiraling deep. "This isn't just magic," he said. "It's balance. To wield nature, you must become it." That night, camped beneath a star-strewn sky, Jez read by firelight, the words etching themselves into her mind. The Druid is both root and storm, stillness and fury. Mastery begins with surrender. She clutched the book to her chest, its weight a promise and a burden. Yet tranquility was slipping from the village. Whispers grew into murmurs. Crops shriveled overnight, their leaves brittle and black. Rabbits and deer fled their burrows, eyes glassy with terror. A faint stench like sulfur and decay lingered on the breeze. Jez felt it too, a persistent itch at the base of her skull, as if shadowed eyes followed her. One afternoon, while practicing archery with Zelen, the village boy who trailed her like a shadow, her arrow veered, striking a tree. When she pried it free, dark sap oozed from the wound, thick and unnatural. The witch. Her corruption was creeping closer, tainting their haven. Over venison stew with Runver, Jez voiced her unease. "The land's sick," she said, her spoon idle in the bowl. "It's her, isn't it?" Runver's face hardened, his eyes shadowed. "Aye, she's testing us. But your trials come first, Jez. Leave the village to us." His confidence steadied her, yet the knot in her gut remained, cold and unyielding. Her last night arrived swiftly. Archaeus guided her to a bluff overlooking the valley, the village lights twinkling below like scattered stars. He spread a blanket on the grass and they lay together, the silence a balm. "As a kid," he said, his voice soft, "I thought the stars were watching us, judging. Jez tilted her head, her fingers finding his. And now? His smile was faint, tinged with melancholy. Now they're just stars, beautiful but blind to us. She squeezed his hand. Maybe. But we see. We fight. He drew her close, his lips grazing her forehead. That we do. Later, as the moon swelled overhead, Jez slipped from his arms and stood at the bluff's edge, the wind whipping her hair. She whispered into the darkness, "I'll come back stronger. For them. For us." Below, the village slumbered, oblivious to the gathering storm. But Jez felt it, the witch's shadow, stretching, the trials looming and the solitary path she'd tread.